All right, let's dive into a topic that's really shaping modern conflict, but it has almost nothing to do with new jets or fancy stealth technology. Nope. Today, we're talking about the ultimate weapon, the human mind, and how it's being trained to operate in this new age of artificial intelligence.
You see, the entire nature of conflict is going through this pretty radical shift. The fight is no longer just for physical territory. The new high ground, it's the high ground of thought and decision-making itself. The real battlefield is moving from physical space right into the cognitive realm.
And this quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of the problem. We live in what some people are calling the age of cognitive acceleration. AI can observe, decide, and act way faster than we can think. So the crucial question becomes, how do we make sure our wisdom isn't left in the dust by all that speed?
Think about it. For decades, the whole game was about having more intel, more data than the other guy. But that era, it's over. Now we're literally drowning in data. The new challenge isn't about controlling information anymore, it's about controlling its interpretation. It's about finding the actual meaning in all that noise.
So, this new reality, it demands a pretty fundamental change in military goals. The focus is shifting away from what you have to how you think. It's a huge move from just accumulating stuff to actually applying it wisely.
And this slide really lays it out perfectly. The old goal was information superiority. Super simple, just have more data. But the new goal, cognitive superiority, is all about having better judgment. It's not about who computes the fastest, it's about who reflects the best.
So what exactly is cognitive superiority? Well, here's a good definition. It's the ability of an entire organization to reason, to adapt, and to learn faster than the chaos of conflict can surprise it. It's not about raw processing power, It's about mental agility, flexibility, and real insight, especially under pressure.
In this kind of mental agility, it isn't something you're just born with, not at all. It's a skill that has to be deliberately built, layer by layer, over an entire career. So let's take a look at how that journey actually unfolds. Now, this highlights a key paradox that military education has to solve. If you only teach discipline, you just get unthinking compliance, robots. But if you only encourage reflection, you get confusion and hesitation. The real goal is to blend them, to create leaders who can act decisively but also think deeply.
And that blend, it evolves over time. A young cadet starts out with disciplined curiosity. Then, as an officer, they learn to apply doctrine. A commander has to design these incredibly complex operations. And finally, a strategist. They have to achieve what's called reflective foresight. Each step builds on the last, creating a deeper and deeper capacity for judgment.
Okay, so let's look at how this all works in the real world. One of the most complex cognitive challenges you can face is something called counterinsurgency, or COIN. This is basically warfare where the goal isn't just to defeat an enemy force, but to win the support of the local population.
And this question gets right to the core of it. In a traditional fight, you just focus on the enemy. But in counterinsurgency, the goal isn't just winning battles, it's winning legitimacy. When a population feels secure, they're much more likely to give you intelligence and reject the insurgents. You're basically cutting the enemy off from their most vital resource, the people themselves.
This really gets to the core of that shift in thinking. You can't force trust. You can't force loyalty. They have to be earned through your actions. And that requires this profound, empathetic understanding of the people you're there to protect, making every single tactical decision a strategic communication.
And if we look at this table, we can see just how unique that really is. While other domains might prioritize all sorts of different skills, COIN demands moral restraint and empathy. And listen, these aren't soft skills. In this context, they are strategic enablers. They're weapons of a totally different and maybe even more powerful sort.
All right, now let's pivot. Let's go to a completely different and incredibly harsh environment. We're going to go from the complexities of the human terrain to the brutal realities of high-altitude mountain warfare. Up here, the environment itself is a primary adversary. You've got extreme cold, thin air, treacherous terrain. It just magnifies every single challenge. In this world, the single most decisive skill isn't firepower, it's not numbers, it's adaptation. So the principles this environment demands are totally unique. First, it requires incredible physical acclimatization and endurance. It also needs decentralized control, which empowers small units to act on their own.
Logistics, they aren't just support anymore. They become a combat function in themselves. And you have to seamlessly integrate, fire, and maneuver on these treacherous slopes. Your thinking has to become just as rugged as the terrain itself. So, whether we're talking about winning trust in a village or just surviving at 14,000 feet, we start to see this common thread, right? The ultimate tool isn't the technology you're holding in your hands, but the judgment that's in your head.
And this really brings us to the most important takeaway of this whole thing. In a world that is just overflowing with data, with AI, with instant information, the one truly scarce and decisive resource is sound human judgment. That is the ultimate strategic asset. So we'll leave you with this final thought. As technology gets better and better at giving us instant answers, the real challenge for all of us, no matter what field we're in, is figuring out how we train for something much deeper, much more valuable, and uniquely human: wisdom.